Lost is where she feels at ease. It's written in a code she can't read. It haunts her. And how can there be hope when she lives it out in fear on the edge?
Goldfish is my favourite song on the album. This is one for me that was instant. It was almost a religious experience making this song. I sort of grew up a Catholic, and I love church choirs, and there's a lot of duplicates of my voice in this song that sort of sounds like a choir. We were going to get a real choir, but in the end it wasn't quite going to work because of all the different melody changes, but I think it sounds beautiful the way it is. And I was going through a bit of a low patch when we were recording this song out in France, and it's quite intense lyrics of me feeling quite sorry for myself and feeling trapped and wanting to get the hell out of there. And this song was a message home to my manager to say, okay, it's time for me to come home and enter the real world again, because it's quite isolated where I was. It was really important on this record for Medevac to follow Goldfish, because at this point it's where the album gets a lot more intense, and we thought to feature these songs at the end of the album would be really good. Basically what Medevac means, it's a medical evacuation, and it's usually used in sort of a military term. It's an airlift basically to hospital. And I've mentioned it earlier on with Don't Give It Up, but this is probably another song that was wrote about James when he had his addiction problems, when he was producing this record with me. Basically when he got really bad and he at this point had to go to rehab, this song is basically saying this is the end of the line. You've got to choose. You know, it was as serious as you've got to choose your life or the addiction, and it was, you know, a really desperate time, and you can't help but be dragged into it because you're there, you're isolated, and you know, you're all living under the same roof, and we all had to deal with it. And luckily he's better now, as I said before, but this song was probably the first song that I wrote where me and James, I'd come to a sort of true understanding of what he was going through as well as I could. The first line I wrote was, "Help me out here because I'm strung out," and I think he was quite shocked that I'd come out with something like that. And you know, we've got a hell of a lot of respect for each other coming out of this record. As I've said, where we recorded this album in France, there's no TV, no radio, completely isolated. I like to think of it as a bit of a twilight zone in the French countryside, almost magical. And on summer's days, you'd sit outside the converted barn that's converted into the studio, and you wouldn't wish to be anywhere else. And we wanted to capture that on a song. And with Halcyon Days, I mean, Halcyon Days means sort of the good old days, and where it is in France, it's like the English countryside 100 years ago. And so the lyrics we chose and the melody, and there's a lovely harpsichord on there, was just trying to capture our surroundings into a sound from France. I genuinely believe that I will make my next record with James Sanger. He was a complete inspiration. Just musically, he's just a genius, and also he's incredibly intelligent, teaches me new things every day. I can't imagine making another record with anybody else at this point. He was really good at sitting me down at an old Moog or an Audley 3 or a Rhodes and saying, you know, or an Electribe, you know, we went from really old instrumentation to really new technology, and he just wanted to teach me everything as we went along, and it was just really good. It's really good for me to learn my craft and just try and become as good as possible, and he provides the perfect environment for that. Ghosts is the title track of the album, and it was the most difficult in its making. Basically, me and James decided to build the backing track up before we started on the lyrics and melody. That took forever, you know, to get it to a point that we were completely happy with, because it just kept getting better and better. And then we got to a point where we had this great backing track that lyrically and melody-wise we felt we couldn't live up to. So I tried. I wrote the song 3 times. Any of the 3 would have worked, but it wasn't amazing. So basically, James took the melodies and the lyrics and he spun them backwards, put loads of effects on them, loads of reverb, and all of a sudden you've got this complete new melody in it. It's sort of like a sort of anthem from Enya. You know, that's kind of, this is where this is like the biggest ethereal track on the album. I think that's where, if anyone says this album is sort of ethereal, that's where they got it from. So then I put some forward lyrics on it, all nonsense about searching the orbs, circuses, and I think, oh yeah, I say seized the circus and sworn under an oath to war, all sorts of random nonsense, but they always say that the best track on the album comes last, and I think in this case it probably did.